It's always super fun to go back and look at old NHL drafts and kind of see how things played out years after they actually happened, and one of the most fun things in my opinion from looking back at old drafts is looking at some of the hidden gems, some of the players that were selected in the later rounds, because it's not all about the top picks. You can always find those diamonds in the rough year in and year out. So for today's video, we're going to be starting a new series where we go back and look at every NHL draft since 2000 and pick the best player from each round. So to start off the series today, we're going to be talking about the best 7th round pick from every draft since 2000. And yes, I know earlier in the 2000s there were more than 7 rounds, but since there is only 7 rounds now and that's how it's been for a while, that's what we're going to do for this series. And as always, if you guys are new and have been enjoying the content, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Kicking off with the 2000 NHL draft from Calgary, no brainer here, it's gotta be Henrik Lundqvist, a 7th round pick, 205th overall by the Rangers. And obviously Henrik Lundqvist went on to have a Hall of Fame worthy career and is still playing for the New York Rangers. He is probably in the final year or two of his career, and honestly when it's all said and done, I think Henrik Lundqvist is going to go down as one of the greatest players of all time to never win a Stanley Cup, unless that changes over the next year or two. Moving on now to the 2001 NHL draft, we have Johnny Oduya, who is a 221st overall pick in the 7th round by the Washington Capitals. Johnny Oduya was obviously never a superstar defenseman, but he had a very lengthy NHL career and was always a pretty steady, reliable guy. He played over 800 NHL games, had 190 career points, and I remember Oduya scoring some pretty big playoff goals against the Red Wings when he played for the Blackhawks. The 2002 NHL draft didn't really produce anyone that had a lengthy NHL career from the 7th round, so I'll go with Joey Crabbe, who was selected 226 overall by the Rangers. Some of you may remember him from his time spent with the Maple Leafs from like 2010 to 2012, but when I hear his name, I literally just think of an actual crab, so I don't know, shout out to Joey Crabbe, I guess, for being the best 7th rounder from 2002. From the 2003 draft, a pretty easy pick here, it's gotta be Joe Pavelski, who was selected in the 7th round, 205th overall by the San Jose Sharks, and obviously went on to have a very, very good NHL career that is still going currently with the Dallas Stars. Joe Pavelski just recently surpassed 1,000 career games, so congratulations to him for that. He's had an amazing career, 363 career goals, 416 career assists for 779 total points. The only thing Pavelski is missing is a Stanley Cup, like a lot of other people that played for the Sharks for a very long time. From the 2004 draft, back to someone who wasn't a star but had a really long, good NHL career, and that is Troy Brouwer, who was selected 214th overall in the 7th round by the Chicago Blackhawks. Brouwer has played 848 career games, has 363 career points, and definitely had some good moments, most notably his run with the Blackhawks where he won that cup in 2010. And shout out to Brouwer because he's still actually playing. He was picked up for a couple of games this year by the Blues. From 2005, we have someone who is actually the last pick of the entire draft, and that is Patrick Hornquist, who was selected 230th overall by Nashville in 2005. And Patrick Hornquist was never like the best player on his team, but he has had some very good seasons in the NHL. His career high is 53 points that came with the Predators in 2013-14, and when Patrick Hornquist is healthy and on the ice, he's actually still a pretty important part to the Pittsburgh Penguins team. From the 2006 draft, we have Derek Dorsett, who is a 7th round pick, 189th overall by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Not a guy who lit you up on the score sheet by any means, but if you were out there and had your head down, he was definitely going to light you up. He had a lengthy career playing over 500 games, but retired after the 2017-18 season due to injury, so shout out to him for having a pretty successful career. From the draft in 07, we have Justin Braun, who is a 201st overall pick by the San Jose Sharks, and again, he's another player who was never like a top defenseman on his team or anything like that, but he was always pretty good for his career for the most part, and always good enough to play top 6 minutes. He played for the Sharks from 2010 up until last season, and then he was obviously traded to the Flyers in the summertime. So again, never a superstar defenseman, but remember, this is 7th round picks we're talking about. Next up from the 08 draft in Ottawa, we have another defenseman San Jose snagged in the 7th round, and that is Jason Demeres, who they picked with the 186th overall selection. Obviously, Jason Demeres hasn't been a member of the Sharks since 2014-15. He's now playing for the Arizona Coyotes, and he's having a decent year. His offensive production isn't as good now as it once was, but he is still a pretty steady and reliable defenseman that you can trust out there. Moving on now to the 2009 draft in Montreal, we have Erik Haula, who is a 7th round pick, 182nd overall by the Minnesota Wild. Haula has bounced around a little bit since 2016-17, 2017 where he was picked up in the expansion draft by Vegas, had a couple of good seasons there, and is obviously now having a pretty strong season in his first year in Carolina. He has been injured a little bit, only played 24 games, but he's got 11 goals so far. Getting this type of player in the 7th round is definitely super impressive. For the 2010 draft in Los Angeles, we have Frederik Andersen, who was selected 187th overall by the Carolina Hurricanes, and this is kind of a weird one. Let me know if you guys think this should count, because he would then go on to be unsigned by Carolina and then re-enter the draft in 2012, where in 2012 he was a 3rd round pick by the Anaheim Ducks. So Freddie Andersen was technically drafted twice, but his name is there for being drafted in 2010 in the 7th round by Carolina, so that technically qualifies him as being a 7th rounder, so I'm pretty sure this one should count. And obviously Frederik Andersen has went on to have a very good NHL career. He's one of the best goalies in the entire NHL right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's pretty crazy to think that he once went unsigned after being drafted. Moving on now to the 2011 NHL draft, we have Ondrej, who was selected 208th overall by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the 7th round. But for this year's draft, I do also want to give an honorable mention to Ryan Dzingel, who was also a 7th rounder in 2011, who's went on to be a very good player. But I feel like of the two, Ondrej has had the better career so far. He was a very impactful player for the Tampa Bay Lightning, basically ever since 2013 up until now. Sure, his point production has came down a little bit from his career high 63 in 2014-15, but he's still a very sound all-around winger. Next up from the draft in Pittsburgh in 2012, we have yet another San Jose defenseman. I mean, what is with San Jose and drafting defensemen in the 7th round? You had Justin Braun, Jason Demeres, and now Joakim Ryan too. Ryan was selected 198th overall in 2012, and obviously he's not a guy who's going to play top pairing minutes. He's going to be a healthy scratch on some nights, but you can definitely throw him in there and trust him to play a bottom pairing role. Kristen Juice was also a 7th round pick in 2012, and he's got a lot more upside, but he's playing in the AHL right now, so I gave Joakim Ryan the nod over him. Next up, the 2013 draft from New Jersey, a draft filled with so much top end talent with guys like Nathan MacKinnon, Seth Jones, and obviously Alex Barkov too, but arguably the best player from this draft coming in the 7th round in Andreas Johnsson.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Okay, maybe he isn't that good, but he is a damn good, skilled player to get in the 7th round. He had a 20-goal rookie season last year, and sure, he's only got 16 points in 30 games, but you can just tell how skilled this guy is, and he's a pretty important part to the Leafs team. Next up from the 2014 draft in Philadelphia, we have Ondrej, who was a 7th round pick, 205th overall by the Anaheim Ducks, and he's a very talented young player who already has a 20-goal season under his belt. Those 20 goals he scored in 2017-18 came in just 66 games as well, and last year it was looking like he was on pace to have a breakout season with 20 points in 30 games, but unfortunately he got injured and only finished last year playing 30 games, and so far this season he really hasn't been able to put the puck in the net like we know he can, but Anaheim as a team just isn't very good. In my opinion, Kase has a pretty bright future in the NHL. Next up, we have the McDavid draft, the 2015 draft from Florida, and my pick is Marcus Nudavara. Sure, he's no McDavid, but for a 7th round pick, he's already had a decent NHL career for a young defenseman for Columbus. He's not going to blow you away with numbers. He has had 2 20-point seasons, but he's only going to continue to get better. And he's probably going to be a pretty consistent, reliable top 4 defenseman for them for years to come. The 2016 draft from Buffalo, we have Joakim Blichfeld. Never heard of him. Feels like I've talked about San Jose players 1,000 times in this video, but he's actually the only player from the 2016 7th round that has played an NHL game so far. He's played 2 for San Jose this year. He had a ridiculously good season in the WHL last year for Portland, putting up 114 points, and this year he's almost point per game in the American Hockey League too, so San Jose might have found a gem in the 7th round with this guy. For the 2017 draft, despite him playing very little NHL games, this was an easy pick. It's gonna be Caden Primo, who is selected 199th overall by the Montreal Canadiens, and he's one of the top goaltending prospects in the NHL. He has played 2 games this year and actually played pretty well. He had a .931 save percentage in those games and picked up a W as well. He's got a very bright future in the NHL, and Montreal getting him in the 7th round is an absolute steal. And then we have the 2018 NHL draft from Dallas, but none of the 7th rounders have played an NHL game yet, so we can't really pick anyone, and same goes for the 2019 draft. Obviously, very few players from that draft have seen any NHL action, let alone a 7th rounder. So that basically wraps it up, and remember, it's not all about the top picks. You can still get some valuable NHL players in the 7th round these days. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. I put a lot of effort into this one, and honestly, I'm just super excited about this series. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I don't usually set like goals, so let's try to hit like 600 likes on this video. I'm sure most of you aren't even watching this far into the video, but if you are, make sure to let me know down in the comment section below and I'll drop a heart on the comment. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in tomorrow's video.